Hello and welcome. This is Andrew Peters with a probably about a half-hour video to introduce the special package and how to set it up and how to do one of the more straightforward uses of the controller working with the Order Trader and with a third-party EA. First of all, as usual, we need to have a disclaimer. If you haven't read these before, please pause the video. And then we come to the contents of the package that you should have once you've downloaded the zip file and opened it. So in that zip file you've got the Order Trader, you've got the Trade Manager, two versions of the controller. I'll just demonstrate the use of the EMA based one, but the user guide will explain the two different versions. This is a third-party EA that I've modified so that it can work with the controller. This is the FX Blue Quick Channel is a crucial one. It needs to be loaded in your libraries folder because it's what we use to communicate between the controller and any of the EAs, whether it's a Trade Manager or the Order Trader Elite or the Breakout EA. There are set files for three strategies. Others are available. There are set files for the controller and the Trade Manager to run these three set files in different ways, and there are user guides for the Order Trader, the Trade Manager and the controller, and then links to the instructional videos. So let's begin to install all the files that you will have received and how you might link them up using these three EAs. Part of the reason for this whole package, making it available at a very cheap price, is because instead of just running a normal EA or testing tens and 20s of different EAs, we're actually going to run EAs, but using the EA controller to monitor when the market is favorable for the EA and when it is not. And when it's favorable, we like to add an additional EA trading the normal entry versions. When the market is unfavorable, we want to stop that EA, that version from trading, and instead trade the reverse entry version, where a buy becomes a sell and a sell becomes a buy. So but in order to do that, we can either do it directly from the controller to the other copies of the EA, or we can use the Trade Manager. And there's quite a lot of experimentation and different ways in which you can link up these three trading tools. So I'll just show you one way in this video, and then during the year I'll be also doing some more videos to show different ways. And the whole idea is that you can play with them and you can experiment and try different ways of running the EAs. So let's move on to that. I'll just pause. Okay, so when you unzip the zip file, you'll have these folders and these items in that zip file. The bottom one says read this first, and I would like you to do that. If we click it, you can see that there's a bit of a description here. There are links to webinar series about how to use the Order Trader. There's a hyperlink to the user guide for the Order Trader, same for the Trade Manager. Just got to finish this last little bit, but it'll be useful for you, and I think essential to read just this one page. The second important item is the FX Blue Quick Channel DLL. This is a bit of software that was provided free by the FX Blue people, and it's what we use for the controller to connect or to communicate with an EA. Then there are presets. There's a presets folder for the controller, presets for the EAs, etc. So let's see how we load these on, and let's start with this one here. So if we right click and copy, and then go to our MT4 platform, we go File, Open Data Folder, MQL4, we go into Libraries, this one here, and we paste. Now you can see that I already had the and it's not letting me write over it, so this one is already in use. I've got it in place, but you must have this DLL in your libraries folder. Then we can go to the trading tools, and there are some files that need to go to the experts folder and a couple that need to go to the indicators folder. So if we double click, let me just highlight that and right click and copy. We'll minimize this. We'll go to our experts and we'll paste in that folder. And what we see in here, you've got the Trade Manager, the Order Trader Elite, and the third-party EA. If I go back here, whoops, let me go back there. So to the indicators folder are these two. It's simpler in some ways to I'll make it easier. There's only two here. Let's highlight them both. Right click and copy. And now we go to MQL4, we go to indicators, and we right click and paste. And here they are. So that's those two done. Now there are Trade Manager presets, and presets for this and presets for that. So if I start from the top, and in the interest of time I'll just do one of these. We copy, go back to MQL4 on MT4 platform. These are presets. We go into the presets folder, double click, and we do a right click and we paste. And here are our controller presets, and if we double click that, we'll see that we've got them for all that we need. So we do the same for the EA presets and the Trade Manager presets, and then you will have loaded all the files in the right places for you to start having some fun. And of course it's much simpler for the presets one. These are all in the same presets folder, so we could click all three at once, do a right click and a copy, then open our data folder on MT4 platform, MQL4, presets, and we could paste them all. Now I'll just replace them all, but that way you get them all into place in one go. Should have thought of that before. Okay, so now we want to start setting up, and I'm going to use the EURUSD for this exercise. So that runs on the EURUSD chart. So I'll open one of those, and it runs on the 15-minute. And I don't like the grids, but you can do whatever you like in terms of how you set it up. So that's a EURUSD M15 chart. Now, as you can see, we don't have any of our traders here, but what we haven't done is to refresh the navigator window. So it's a right click and a refresh. And this is to the experts folder where we put the stuff, so I can open that up. And here are my 3 EAs that we've loaded. I'm going to use the FX Order Trader Elite. Double click. Always check the common and make sure that the allow DLL imports are ticked because we're using that. Now it's better off just loading a preset file. So we load, and this is the EA presets. Double click that. The EURUSD, double click, and we want to run the controller version of this particular set file. So we double click. You would add your email address in there, and then we have it loaded. So this is our strategy that we're running. It's been quite profitable in 2017 and has a fairly good back test, which I'll show you in a minute. And the settings here are that we allow hedging. This is the magic number, 48164. The other crucial thing is we're trading this at the minimum lot size possible, because this is our monitoring EA, and we use this, the EA running on this chart, to see whether the market conditions are favorable for the EA, in which case it will be making money, or if the market dynamics change, then the EA will start losing money, and then we need to engage the reverse entry version. So this is a monitoring EA, hence being run at the smallest lot size. When you read the user guide, you'll see that I often talk about running two platforms, and in that case we would put this version on our demo platform, and then the two other versions that I'll come to would be on our live platform, so that this is purely would become a monitoring or a controlling EA, and whenever this one's profitable, it will signal the correct one to trade on live, and when it becomes unprofitable, it'll signal the reverse entry version to trade on live. But if our account is large enough and we can have our subsequent EAs running at, say, 0.05 or 0.1, then we can afford to perhaps lose a little bit, or at least be fairly neutral with this one. So that's why it's set at 0.01. And that's all we need to know for that. So we can click OK. I should have entered the email address, so you need to do that and you'll be fine. So we've set this one up as a small lot size, and now we want to set up two additional versions of this EA, but at a larger lot size. And so let's do that. We need to open another Euro USD chart, and we're going to do the same here. We're going to make sure our DLL is allowed, and the inputs, we're going to load the EA presets, Euro USD, but this time we want to load the normal version. So double click that. Again, you have to add your email address there. The main thing to note is that we've now changed the magic number to 48164, and you'll see that we're now trading at a larger lot size, in this case 0.05. You could make it 0.1 depending on your account size, or if you wanted to use a risk percentage, you could enter your risk percentage there. And so we go forward, so we click OK, and we need to enter our email address. Okay, we notice we've actually got the euro on the H1 and we need it to be on the 15. So let's make sure we do that. Now we've got the order trader here, and now we need a third copy of the Euro USD chart with the order trader. Make sure that common allow DLL imports, and we load, but this time in the presets Euro USD we want to load the reverse. And so we can see here that reverse entry has now been set to true. So this one, when the EA signals a buy, it'll actually take a sell, and vice versa. We've given this a different magic number by adding the 9 in front, so it's 948.64, and we're also trading it at 0.05 lots. At this stage, I've got this field blank, but we'll come back to that in just a minute. We'll click OK, and you enter your email address. So now we've got 3 charts, and again that's on H1. We should remember to change it to M15. So this is the EA that we're looking to monitor performance. This is the normal version of the EA running at a larger lot size, and this is the same version of the EA but where the signals have been reversed, so we take a buy instead of a sell. And now we come to add the controller, which will control the second the third copy of the EA. For that, for the controller is in the indicator folder, and we're using the MA version. So it's that. And now we make sure that imports are allowed, and we load to the controller presets, and we're doing the Euro USD, and we want the controller for the normal. And so we can see here the indicator mode is a signal. If you double click that, you can see we have an option between signal and copier. Copier is when using FX Blue Trade Copier as explained in the manual, but we're using signal for this case. Reverse signal is set on false. You need to add your email address, and we've given this an ID of S for signal. It's controlling the normal version, which is the Magic S48164 normal, and a descriptive title here. But we're monitoring the performance of the EA on this chart, which is 48.16.4, and we're adding a moving average of period 5, and we're going to start trading at the start rather than waiting till 5 trades have been completed to see whether we're up or down. What I'm going to do is to double click this ID, right click and copy. Now I'm going to give this an OK. You'll have to add the email address, of course, but you can now see on this chart we've got the EA controller version 48.16.4 is what it's controlling, the normal, and the period is 5. And the normal EA is on this one. So if we right click and open the expert properties, and we have this empty ID field, we now need to paste that number that I took from the controller. So the controller on this first chart is now linked to the EA running on this second chart with that ID number. And so we can now OK that and add your email address. Now we go back to our first chart. We now need a controller to control the reverse entry version of the EA. So we double click on the controller. We go to common and make sure allow DLL imports is ticked. We go to inputs. We load. We have to control the presets. We're in the Euro USD, and we want to get the presets for the reverse version. So we double click that. You can see here we've set reverse signal to true. You need to add your email address, and now the ID number is S9 for reverse, and that's a descriptive. And as you can see, we're monitoring the same EA, so the same conditions there. So I'll do the same as before. I double click that, so it's highlighted. I right click and copy. I set this OK, and then I go to the third chart. This is the reverse version properties. You can see reverse is set to true. In the ID number, we now double click and we paste the ID from that controller. So the reverse controller on this chart is now connected to this version of the EA. And we click OK, and we're set to go. So let's see if we can do this. Okay, let's just now tile the windows, and let's get rid of this one since we're not interested. So here is our what I call the controller chart. It has the EA running at 0.01 lots. Expert advisors properties 0.01 lot size on 48.16.4. And it has two controllers. One controller is controlling the normal version, which I think is probably this one, but let's have a look. 6, yep. There you go. So that controller controls the operation of that one, and this controller controls the operation of the reverse entry. So in other words, after a while, you'll get a performance graph here as the EA starts trading, and if the line is up, it means the market conditions are favorable, and it'll be sending, this one will send a yes signal to this EA here saying market conditions are safe to trade, so go ahead. So we'll be now trading at 0.1 or 0.05 with a normal version of the EA. When the performance starts, and well, let me go this way. Now this bottom one, the reversal one, will have the same chart. It'll show the same performance because it's measuring the performance of that. So while this is going, the performance is going up, because we've set the signal to reverse on this particular controller, which is linked to this version of the EA on the third chart, it will now be telling this EA that it cannot trade, because this EA trades the reverse signal, but we've already determined, since this is positive, that the market conditions are right, and we only want the normal version to be trading together with this one. On the other hand, when this performance, when the market conditions start changing again, and we start losing, in other words, the close profit falls below its moving average, we'll then have a no signal being generated, and this you'll see a no signal saying no appearing here. So this EA will be stopped from trading. At the same time, because we've reversed the signal on this one, this EA, which is the reverse entry EA, will now be told to start trading, because after all, the market conditions have become unfavorable. So the strategy that was working is now not working, and if it's not working, then it's likely that the opposite trade will be profitable. And I will show you that in a minute with the results. But that's the simple way of running. So we're running using FX Auto Trader Elite, 3 different copies of it, and we're using the controller. In this example, we're not using the Trade Manager, but I'll do another video where I'll show you how you can use the Trade Manager with this system as well. And just by way of example, this is the Euro Japanese Yen strategy that I've been running. And as you can see, this is what the EA controller graph will look like. So the red line is the close profit and loss, and then this is the moving average of that, and at the moment the moving average is set to 30. So it had a loss there. We would have been switched over here, but otherwise it's been nice and positive. This is the RSI version of that same graph, and because we can't calculate an RSI until we've done the 30 trades, it starts here, but you can see the RSI, or the momentum of this performance curve, has been above 50 all that time. And so in the package you've got, you can use either of these controller versions, but the example I've shown you is for this one. And so what happened is that in this case, maybe I can show you that better on this one here, for instance with the USD CHF, this has been, for the last 3 months, been in a downtrend all along. And so in this case, our normal EA would have been switched off because the close profit is below the moving average, and the reverse entry has been switched on because it had the reverse setting. And obviously at this stage, as you can see, and this is my reverse entry version of the EA, it's actually been making money, whereas the one that is the normal entry has been losing. And so this is the setup I've essentially used for what I've just shown you with the USD CHF. One other thing I'd like to show you is this one here, and this is again for the USD CHF. So this was the normal setting for, I think this was in for 2017 for about 7 months, as I recall. And when I did the back test on that, if I then reverse the entry with that same set file, we're quite positive we can make money. If you look at a longer term, I think this is a 5-year back test. This top graph here is a normal entry version of the EA. You can see it went for quite a long period of actually losing money, but towards the end it actually started working quite well. Interestingly enough, when you then run that same back test, but you set the entry to reverse equals true, then the periods when the normal was losing money, the reverse entry was making money, as shown on these bits here. And so that is the reason I developed the controller, so that when we can sense this happening on our normal version, trading at just 0.01 lots, we actually switch on the reverse version, which is trading at 0.05 lots. So we're making money. And the reverse here, when this one is working well, we switch on the normal version of 0.05 lots, and we switch off the other one because that one is losing rather badly. And so, as you can see, traditionally we develop an EA, we optimize it, and then we try it, and we say, well, this EA is bad because it loses money. What I'd like to switch that on its head and say, an EA is programmed to do certain things. It's optimized in a certain time period when the market was behaving in a certain manner. And obviously the market doesn't always remain working in that same manner. And so what we have to find a way is to monitor how the market is changing. And when it changes, we need to change with it. And for this particular, for my examples here, the change we make is to change a buy into a sell and a sell into a buy. And we do that on automatic. So just coming back to our setup here. So the controller EA, the normal version, the reverse version. What I'll do in my next video would be to let this one run as it is. Let these run continuously. And we do that simply by not having anything in here. But then we'll add another chart with a trade manager. For instance, let's imagine that's here, and we will link this signal from the controller to the trade manager, and that's so whenever the trend is up, the trade manager is inactive, but when the trend goes down, this one will keep trading, but the trade manager will now be signaled to reduce the stop loss from 60 to 10 and keep maybe the take profit reduced slightly from 60 to 50. And so on the understanding this one is likely to start losing, but it'll only lose 10 pips instead of 60 pips. And same one will have another chart with a trade manager linked to this reverse one, and it will do exactly the opposite for the reverse signal. And so that way we'll end up with 5 charts. All 3 EAs will run continuously, but there will be 2 trade manager charts, one to control each of these depending on whether the market is favorable or unfavorable. Gets a little bit complex, so I'm going to leave that for a second video. And so that's the reason why I chose the bright idea, the link up. We can use these 3 trading tools, either all 3 together, or as I've demonstrated here, just using 2 of them, the controller and the EA. And there are all sorts of different ways that you can do. Now, none of this, obviously, you can back test. And so that's why I've given the full year license. And the idea would be to set up some platforms at which you can try out different things. The set files that are provided, you may want to run live or whatever, but then I would encourage you to open a demo platform and think of different ways in which you can use these trading tools to good advantage. So I hope this has not been too complex. I've tried to make all the loading of all the tools fairly simple with all the preset files. But you don't have to use any of those preset files. You are free to make your own. And if you read but probably in order for you to do that, you'll need to read the user guides. If at any time you've got any questions, please do contact me at info@DIYForexSkills.com. I'm also happy to answer questions by email, or if we need to, we can set up a Skype session where I can either share my screen or you can share your screen, and we can work through the setups that you would like to try out. So from me, all the best, and hope you enjoy this and hope it can be profitable for you. And thank you for joining in. Bye for now.